All right. I am back with episode 2 here of doing stuff with Hacker Finder. In episode 1, I give you this lovely project structure and didn't actually do anything with it. I just made the project structure. So, how's that for 20 minutes of productivity? I did get SpecFlow installed successfully last time. So, I think if I can remember how to program, let's see. This is one thing about Visual Studio is there's so many menu options. There we go. Add new item. Unit test, load test. This is cool. I haven't kept fully up to date with all the different stuff you can do with Visual Studio. I kind of want to play with this load test concept. That's fun. Okay, spec flow feature file. That sounds like what I want to do. I'm going to call this location search. Now, when it comes to SpecFlow, I am pretty much a novice. I've been using it in my chess TDD series, and that has a lot of depth, but not a lot of breadth, I guess. So I haven't set this up, as I mentioned before. And I also haven't done, I haven't done a tutorial or walk through SpecFlow, at least not recently. When I initially started it, I watched a Pluralsight course on it, but... So anyway, the long and short of it is I'll be feeling my way through this tool. I've been using it, but I've been using it sort of in this recurring happy path scenario for myself. Okay, so what do we have here? Welcome to SpecFlow Visual Studio integration. Change the version numbers. I'm not seeing anything especially useful here. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's just I'm not patient. You'll see that through the course of this. I just kind of dive in and do stuff. Given, okay. Now I remember that. I think what I'm going to do here is generate code for this and then kind of go from there. I do better at modifying existing code by running experiments than by doing things from scratch. So I think generate step definitions is what I want. There we go. So given I have, so this came up in the other screen on window 1. I just want to see what this does. And I think it's going to generate this separate class. Yes. What? Desktop? Huh. Okay. Also, I want ncrunch to run. Let me see. So ncrunch is enabled. I know that in my chess TDD, let me see if this comes up if I get my dots. I know in the chess TDD series I have my dots. Okay, so I have to do something to tell SpecFlow. Oops. I think I will Google this shortly. You won't have to watch me mess around too much, but I think there's a SpecFlow section in here. This is vaguely coming back to me. SpecFlow, I think probably in here. Getting warmer. Test runner tool, not auto. Spec run, restart, what? Visual Studio 2012? Okay, so I'm running the tests with MS Test. Let's see, SpecFlow with MS Test. I'm obviously not the first person to have this issue. Open up app.config. All right. Let's try that. I feel like maybe that option would, you know what? I don't know. I'm wondering if that option being set would like cascade down to, uh, whatever. Yes. Do it. Rid me of my compiler errors. Oh. Yes. Why are you continuing to ask me that? Let's see. 0 errors. That's promising. I don't have my ncrunch dots yet, but let me see what happens if... Oh. Run active test. That did nothing. I kind of remember having to like build a couple of times. Integrated paste. The only downside as I see it is that to having so many like plugins that are really kind of awesome is that sometimes I kind of lose track of which plugin is giving me what functionality. One or more step definitions are not implemented. Is that right? Oh. I sort of thought it would like do this for me. Well, okay. What I'll do now is open up another Visual Studio window, and this is, for what it's worth, you know, some people might disagree, but I kind of like to cheat and refer whenever possible to things I've done in the past. I'm not big on memorizing. I'm big on just-in-time information. So I kind of want to go in here and see what the universe looks like in this other Visual Studio project. So you can see, go and open up one of these in my chess series. I am not a liar. There, look, green dots in SpecFlow, and here are my SpecFlow tests. So what I'm going to go do here is this is where I've implemented a bunch of stuff, and so here are the whens. Then I have some helpers. So then is when we have an assert. My goodness, only one assert for all these. Forget what the... Oh, these are just... You don't want to look at these. Okay, so I guess as long as the then in question has an assert, that's the big thing. So like if I go in here and say assert, yes, is true, true. I wonder if, so this should pass, I think. No? Well, I'm glad I confirmed my suspicion. Assert dot inconclusive. Test skipped. Line 7. Oops. Well, I think pending means... see what happens if I delete those. Rebuild, and... Okay, that worked. Apparently, if I just assert true, all is right in the universe. Let me then... I think I might have to, like, tell this to pay attention to SpecFlow if memory serves. Unable... Whoa. SpecFlow.targets. Is that even a thing? That's strange. If memory serves, I had to do something to ncrunch to get it to run this last time. Show me passing tests. Show me all tests. So I'm clicking buttons here to tell ncrunch to show me every test that's happening. What's the problem here? Question. So to ncrunch, this thing isn't building. So this unable to cast XML comment to XML element. This is line 47. So generate all spec flow targets. Spec flow targets. Interesting. That is bizarre. Well, when in doubt, where did I get the... let's see what Google has to say about this. Okay. So I was alt-tabbing through and I just saw that again. So let me open a Google window. Oh, there's all these lovely things to smooth out at the beginning of a project. That's not promising. I wonder if I do a verbatim. Yeah? Okay. This is a post from 2009. Still acting flaky. Answer. This is probably not... This is like some... Oh! Hey. This is like... Oops. Yeah, this is exactly it. If I create visuals, I can build just fine in Visual Studio with the following error. Oops. Okay. So we're in the ncrunch forums. This is promising. And here's Remco. He's the creator of this tool. The problem appears to be a compatibility issue. When ncrunch loads your project, it detects the reference to specflow binary and automatically includes the specflow.targets file inside your project as an import. The reason is to allow ncrunch to be able to regenerate specflow tests every time it builds your project, which is something that won't happen without this targets file. So it's the specflow test step generation. I expect that this issue may be a major one for you. If you'd like to make your ncrunch build work in the same way as the Visual Studio build, open up the Tech Talk. I'm assuming Tech Talk is just his. And find the generate all task invocation on line 47. Okay. So, let's see. Oh, it is Tech Talk on line 47 and commented out. Interesting. If you'd like to make a... Probably obvious, but you can also just change the target to have a condition target name. So let's see. Well, I got my green dots, so I'm going to call it a day. It's probably not the best, but you know. Okay, so another thing that I tend to do is get rid of anything that's auto-generated for me unless I understand it. Your mileage may vary, but try to keep things to a minimum. So I don't remember what these tags do. It's probably so you can group the tests in certain ways and run certain ones at certain times. I have no need for that right now. I also don't really need these user stories per se, so I'm just gonna say location search feature. Now, given I have entered 50 into the calculator, and I have entered, so, oh, these are the same. So if you're new to SpecFlow, I guess, there's this kind of late binding scheme here where you're actually using these attributes, and this is a flag for subbing in a variable. So that's where the magic of the framework comes in. So up here, it understands to plop 50 in there. It understands to bind this attribute text to this and drop 50 in as this int p0. So that's a handy example. If I were brand new to it, I'd probably keep this around for a while, but I have my whole chess TDD project. So what I actually want is to say that when I supply a location, I get back. So I don't actually need a given. I'm going to delete this until I do need one. That's going to make everybody unhappy. Tests are breaking, and SpecFlow is saying, hey, this isn't valid anymore. So here we go. Should go green. Okay, so I don't want this to be when I press add, and I don't want this scenario to be add two numbers. I want this scenario to be Chicago search. Okay, so that stays green. I just wanted to confirm that it wasn't binding the feature name in any way. I don't want when I press add. I want, let me get this syntax here. Nothing really goes haywire if I add back in a method binding in code that I'm not using. So I want to say not when I press add, but when I supply a location, say when I supply location X, and I'm going to make this location text. Now I shouldn't be working because now it's not when I press add, but when I supply location Chicago. See, and it's even smart enough to pick up, you see how Chicago is italicized? It says, oh, at this point in the binding, you're supplying a variable. Okay, so we've got that binding in. When I supply location Chicago, then the result should be let's see. When I supply location Chicago, then the result should be 120 on the screen. I'm trying to think how I want to phrase this. So I'm going to build a thing where I'm going to say, hey, thing, go get me all the GitHub users in Chicago. And I'm probably just going to slice that off, I think, at first. Instead of saying, like, all the Java users, like right now, I just want to say, get me everybody in Chicago. That seems like a good start. So when I supply location Chicago, then I should have a user named Eric, except I should have a user. Is that the best phrasing? You've noticed this about me. I tend to sort of focus on naming a lot more than maybe some people do. I feel it's very important for communication. So I should have a user, but when I supply location Chicago, I should have... Well, I'm going to go with it for now. Maybe a better name will emerge as we go. So I'm saying I should have a user named copy this over for the binding. And it's going to be a user-named variable. Oops. And it's going to be a string. User first name. Okay, now this is now this test reads the way I want. I have no production code and I'm just asserting true. However, I am at the 20-minute mark for this episode, and I'm really going to try to keep all these episodes right around 20 minutes with, I don't know, some 50 hours in my chess TDD series. I've gotten enough feedback from my viewers of that series to know that 20 minutes is kind of a nice increment of time, you know, a lunch break or something like that. So I'm going to wrap up here. And I'm going to show you, well, I got to get out of this coaching mode. I'm just building this project. So next time around, I'm going to actually start making this a test of something. I'm going to let it drive this acceptance test, drive what I do, drive the design. So stay tuned for that next time.